What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and yes, today is the day we are going to finally PLASTI-DIP our 1995 SC300 2JZ and get this thing looking absolutely amazing. So if you didn't catch the last video, we thought we were going to get the PLASTI-dipping. Things just didn't go exactly that way. A lot of weather didn't permit us to get some of the stuff done we needed to get done, and then I had issues getting some of the PLASTI-DIP. So all of that is resolved. And if you didn't catch that last video, we ended up doing the trim here and the chrome all in a gloss black. Came out phenomenal. I actually got around to removing all of this, sanding this area down. I've just got to tidy everything up. I've got a few other things to do I'm going to walk you guys through. Then we're going to set up that bay back there to be able to paint, and that's going to become our PLASTI-DIP booth. This side actually came out really good once it dried, this nice gloss finish here. We are going to have to wet sand and polish that just because of some orange peel, but outside of that, this car is pretty much prepped up. Now, I decided that I'm going to keep the stock bumper for now. I did not like the way the aftermarkets looked, at least the ones I found, and I felt like I could put a your spoiler, your lip on the front here, your splitter, and maybe do that in a black gloss. So I had to fix, and now I'm going to be fiberglassing some damage that was on here already, and it came out really good. I actually used an epoxy to glue that together, clamped it, and then just picked up some fiberglass resin, and I've got some fiberglass sheet. So we'll finish that off, get it sanded up. It's very early right now, so I've got lots of time to get this done all day, and our PLASTI-DIP came in. I've got a total of 4 gallons of this white, but one of the gallons is a little bit older. I picked it up. These are all from Pep Boys. So right now on PepBoys.com, you can actually get these white ones at half off, $37.99. Normally they're $74. So I picked up all I could in the area. Got these 3 from one store, and I got that gallon down there from the store around the corner from my house, but that one's from 2016. And the research I did said it should be fine for up to 4 years, so I'm not super concerned, but I want to see if we can get away with 3 gallons of this and 2 gallons of the top coat, one of those being pearl. So I'll fill you guys all in on that. I'm going to get everything set up. I might throw in some clips of the bumper. I've also got the spoiler over here. I've got that all glued up. We're going to be doing final prep on that, and we'll be doing these ones painted separately, all nicely set up, and we'll have the whole car prepped up and ready to go here soon. So stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, so we are on track to get this car done before the end of the day. So everything is sanded down, fully prepped on the actual vehicle. So next step I'm going to do is use this TSP substitute, and I'm going to wipe the whole car down. Then I'm going to pull out the pressure washer and wash it down with Dawn dish soap, wash it a few times after that, let it dry out in the sun with all the doors and stuff open so no water gets stored in any of the cracks. I'm going to let it sit for quite a few hours in this hot summer heat here in Florida, and it should dry out very, very quickly with no water residue. Then, before we actually paint it, we're going to wipe it down with some isoferic alcohol, which is like a 90%. That way it dries off really quickly, and that'll take any dust off that might have settled. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. There's no point in recording that. I'm just going to go ahead and wash her down and move on to the next step. Oh, I already went ahead and sanded the wing, and the bumper is fiberglass, just waiting on that to dry, and we'll sand that whole thing down, and we'll wash these 2 down as well. Alright guys, I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of what I did. So if you want these results that you're going to see at the end, you can do it at home. Now some of these steps might not be necessary. If you've got a perfect car, you can completely skip this step over here. So I had a very rough car, lots of clear coat peeling, and lots of bodywork damage. So I needed to do a lot of things. So I started with 80 grit sandpapering most of the car, any of the parts that were had the clear coat peeling or chipping, damaging, and that so forth. Then I went back over that with 220. I know you could probably PLASTI-DIP over 80, but I feel more secure going down to 220, smoothing out the surfaces. I talked to the guys over at Dip Your Car, and they said make sure it's like if you were painting a car. If you feel it, you're most likely going to see it. So I went ahead and smoothed out all the edges, as you can see up in this area. Then we went back to our bodywork and we did some banging out of our metal, which you might not have to do. We refilled it with Bondo in those areas, and then we had some areas of cracking on our bumper that I had to fiberglass. Then you need to go back and sand again. This is the sander that I used for the entire car, and it worked out extremely well. I mean, me and Zay were going back and forth, and it honestly was going very quick using your hook and loop sanding disc and your hyper tough Walmart sander. This is just a vibrating, actually I think it's a circular sander. It's a little bit step up from a vibrating. Highly suggest you get just even an inexpensive sander, because doing this by hand can be extremely tedious unless you have just a couple spots. Now, after that, you can skip to this stage if you've got just a really clean car, something newer, you're trying to protect the paint. Use some kind of degreaser. They make like a pre-preps paint degreaser as well, like this, that is by Rust-Oleum. Basically, it's bug tar and wax remover. You can use that. I then prefer to go over it with Dawn dish soap, removing any of the film, because I wipe this down without cleaning it just to get all of the grease and grime kind of taken off. Then I'm going to hit it with this. Then I'm going to hit it with a lot of regular water to remove any residue. We're going to do a nice wipe down, and we're going to let it dry in the sun. You want to kind of do this the day before you paint, so that any of the water that kind of stays in the crevices, the door cracks and stuff, is all dry. I'm going to bring it out right into the sun area here, open up all the doors, and let that drain. My next step, I'm going to actually take my wheels off. You do not need to do that. You can cover those up. And you also, the mirrors, you have the choice of taking those off, because those are difficult to spray and get really into. And then you don't want to leave any thin marks behind your mirrors, which could look really bad. So I went ahead and removed those. I'm going to jack my car up as high as I can, put it on very secure jack stands and jacks, and we're going to take the wheels off so I can get up underneath here, and I want to get rid of all the red. I don't want to see any of the red unless you're opening a door or a hood. I also took my front bumper off, completely unnecessary, but if you're in my case where you have damage, you definitely want to remove it and do that off to the side. And then since you have it off, go ahead and paint it separately, because it's going to be a lot easier. I did the same thing with my spoiler. So that's really it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and scrub this down extremely good to get rid of any dirt, grime, dust over the years, all the sanding dust that I've got on here. I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to move on. I'm also going to be removing these tail lights, and I've got to cover up the holes from the spoiler too, so I don't get any water into my trunk. So that's really it, guys. Hopefully that kind of fills you guys in if you're looking to do this project. Next step's going to be me scrubbing this all down. Probably won't even film it, and then I'm going to have it all prepped and ready for the paint area, and we're going to show you guys those steps. Okay, guys, so quick fill-in before we get started. Yesterday, right before it started to rain, I quickly decided to do a test spot right where we had some heavy clear coat peeling, because I wanted to make sure we weren't going to have any issues with seeing that through the actual PLASTI-DIP. Speaking to the guys that dip your car, they said make sure the surface is completely flush. And I could feel a slight difference, so I wanted to test that out, and it came out really good. And this is not that many coats, so now I've got to clean this area up because I did have some overspray. I quickly did it. The storm was coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and peel that off now. I know we're going to be good on the entire car. All right, guys, so I've got lots of good news and one slightly bad news. Good news is car's all prepped. It's still very early. Weather is absolutely amazing, holding up great, and I've even got the bumper fully prepped. Zay was not able to make it today. Unfortunately, his daughter that he's taking care of got sick, and family first always, so I need to move on because the weather is absolutely perfect. The downside is I am not going to get the footage that I could have gotten, but that's all totally fine. This is not a tutorial. This is literally an outcome video, so I'm glad you guys stuck with me. I've probably spent 40, 50 hours of prep work. This car was nowhere near ready to be dipped when we got it in. Lots of damage on the bumper, on the body, and obviously clear coat peeling. That took hours and hours of sanding down, just like if you were going to paint it. That's kind of the process we had to do. I also don't want to see any of the red, so I've made sure we went over even the pieces around the door with black, because the overspray and everything that occurred from past paints. Now, if you didn't know, if I didn't fill this in, this car had been painted probably 2-3 times and also had been touched up with spray paint in quite a few areas, so there was a lot of paint to go through. I had a lot of spider web cracking on the bumper there. I had to sand through. Got it the best I could. Now this bumper is nowhere near perfect, but I'm hoping the dip's going to cover up any of the slight damage that still exists on this, and we're going to actually have an awesome looking front bumper. That way I can add that front splitter and do it in that gloss black. So look, without further ado, let's get started. You guys are going to see some time clips because I can't talk when I'm spraying. I'm going to have the mask on. Hopefully it helps you guys out and you get to see some cool footage, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so it's fill-in time and I'm going to explain some issues and some things that I had that just didn't go perfect. Keep in mind, first time ever dipping a full car. This side came out absolutely amazing, exactly what I was hoping. Now, the other side and some of these corners is a different story. So, first thing, you can see I've got some runs there, a little run there. And I got a major run all along here and down here. Now, the reason why this happened mainly is because my PLASTI-DIP was too thick, and you can thin it out. So thanks to online tutorials, dipyourcar.com, all these guys are great. They really want to see people be able to dip their own car and get great results. Now, I've got 2 more gallons left. Fonzie had an awesome video on how to get rid of these runs. So we're going to be sanding that down. I'm going to be using 600 grit wet dry sandpaper, a little bit of soapy water, get it down and then clean it down really, really good. And we're going to put another coat on there. In the meantime, the roof here and the hood, well, the hood actually got a couple drips because of my sprayer. And I have one sprayer that's just not spraying up on top when I'm doing the top surfaces, and I'm not sure why. I think the PLASTI-DIP was just too thick for that gun. So I'm going to go ahead and thin these last 2 gallons out really good. I'm going to hit everything, give it 2 hours on this side to dry, and I'm going to hit this whole side again after sanding down those spots. Hopefully we can get this whole thing to come out really, really good, so stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, so this is the first taping I've been able to get of this storm. It is massive. It came out of nowhere. I was right in the middle of doing the pearl coat on the car, unfortunately. Fortunately, I think it might have dried before the actual rain got to the car because I had pulled it all the way forward there. And then out of nowhere, the pole on this tarp, because I had that tarp attached to it, started to bend. And the car was actually backed up at the time and almost came down into the back windshield of the car, so or the rear window actually of the car, which would have been absolutely terrible. So I was able to get up there and cut that off, relieve that weight, and I can't really get up there to do much because it is lightning all over the place, and I'm not about to get up on a ladder now and risk my life. But wanted to show you guys some of the things that you might deal with when you're working on cars. You just have to not care. You know, I can always fix this car, I can always you know, buy another one, but when these type of things happen, you've got to step away. Your life's more important. Just wanted to fill you guys in, but look how bad this is. I mean, it blew most of these tarps off, and I had them very, very secured. I'm really worried about that pole, but I'm going to have to worry about that tomorrow. Hopefully this thing passes soon, and maybe I can get up there and do something. Car looks awesome though. Hopefully there's no damage from the water. I believe it was dry enough to where it's repelling the water right now.